Hi everybody, welcome back to Storytime with Grandma Kate. Hope you're doing well today. I'm going to continue our Junie B book, Junie B. Jones, First Grader at Last. We're going to read chapter 5 today. In the last chapter, remember Junie B's teacher, Mr. Scary, asked her to come out in the hallway so that she could show him her work. And she realized she got all those words mixed up that were written on the board. She couldn't see them properly. So in this chapter, chapter 5, we're going to find out what happens next. This is her writing in her journal again. It says Tuesday. That means the day that she was writing in it. Dear first grade journal, Mr. Scary just called me in from recess. All the other children are still playing out there. He said for me to write in my journal for a minute, and he will be with me soon. I keep peeking at him from behind these pages. He is printing sentences on the board. It is extra work for me, I think. I do not actually approve of this. From Junie B, first grader. Mr. Scary put down his chalk. You can stop peeking at me now, Junie B, he said. I looked at him real surprised. Because that guy has eyes in the back of his hair, apparently. He turned around and smiled. Do you see these 3 sentences that I wrote up here, he asked. Yes, I said, I see them. Excellent, said Mr. Scary. Could you stand up and try reading them from the back there, please? Just then my heart got pumpy and pounding inside, because I'm not good at reading from the board, that's why. I kept on sitting there. Please, said Mr. Scary, just give it a try, okay? Finally, I stood up and I squinted at the sentences. Can you tell what squinting means by looking at Junie's face? What's she doing with her eyes? She's going like this. Remember I told you in the last Junie B chapter that I read, that's what I would do when I was in 3rd grade. I would squint. I read real slow. Bob is a bug bag, I read. I did a teensy frown at that news. Really? I asked. Bob is a bug bag? Mr. Scary pointed to sentence number 2. Try this one, he said. I squinted some more. I like my hog spit, I read again. I looked at my teacher, very curious. These sentences are oddballs, aren't they? I said. Mr. Scary pointed to the last one. Just one more to go, he said. This time I stretched my neck. Scratched it too, maybe. I stretched my neck and I strained my eyes. Jack is going to... I scrunched my eyes even smaller. To jail, I read. I did a gasp. Really? No fooling, Jack who? Mr. Scary came to my seat. He took my hand and walked me closer to the board. Could you try reading them again from here, Junie B, he said. I made my voice real whiny. But I don't want to read them again, Mr. Scary, I told him. I already know what they say. Just one more time, he said. And so finally I did a big breath, and I read the sentences all in a row. Bob is a big boy. I like my dog Spot. Jack is going to Jill's. I covered my mouth, very surprised. Hey, what do you know? He's going to Jill's, Mr. Scary, I said. Whew, that's a relief, right? Mr. Scary laughed. Right, he said. After that, I headed for the door. Okie doke, well, I guess I'll be getting back to recess now, I said. See ya. I waited for him to answer. He did not say, see ya. I turned around. See ya, I said a little bit softer. But Mr. Scary just shook his head no. It was too bad for me. He had other plans. Mr. Scary took my hand. We walked out of room 1 and down the hall. You and I are going to visit Mrs. Weller, Junie B, he said. You remember Mrs. Weller from last year, don't you? I shook my head no, because that name did not ring a bell. Mostly I would just like to remember recess, I said. Mr. Scary patted my shoulder. Mrs. Weller is a lovely person, he said. Recess is a lovely person too, I said. Mrs. Weller is the school nurse, he said. I quick stopped walking because the school nurse is where you go when you are sick or tired, and I was totally fine. But I'm in good shape, I said. See me, I don't even need a Band-Aid. Mr. Scary smiled. He pulled me along again. Of course you're in good shape, Junie B, he said, but Mrs. Weller does lots of nice things besides give out Band-Aids. Just then we walked into Mrs. Weller's office. And guess what? I remembered her perfectly well. I just never knew she had a name before. Why, Junie B. Jones, she said. What a nice surprise to see you again. It is a surprise to see you too, I said, because I am not even sick or tired. Plus also, I am supposed to be on the playground right now. Mrs. Weller laughed out loud. Only I don't actually know why. Do you know why? AB, you like recess best, right? And so I think Mrs. Weller was laughing because Junie B was trying to convince her to get back on the playground. After that, she and Mr. Scary whispered real quiet to each other. And then finally, Mr. Scary patted my shoulder. I'm going to leave you with Mrs. Weller for a while, Junie B, he said. The two of you are going to play a game with her eye chart, okay? And there's a picture of Mrs. Weller talking to Mr. Scary. What do you think he told her? The eye chart. What do you think? You're going to play with the eye chart. Have you ever done that at the eye doctor? All of a sudden, my stomach felt kind of jumpy because playing a game with the nurse does not sound like fun. No, I said inside my head, not okay. Mr. Scary waved. See you, he said. I watched him go, but I did not say, see you back. Would you like to hear chapter 6? Maybe we can read that one too. We've got a little bit of time. Get more comfortable here in my chair. Chapter 6 is called The E-Game. I sat in the chair next to Mrs. Weller's desk, and she asked me lots of questions. First, she asked me how I liked my summer vacation. And then she asked me how I liked first grade and how I liked Mr. Scary. That is called stall talk, I believe. It's really called small talk, which means just silly little questions that we ask each other. Finally, Mrs. Weller stood up. Have you noticed the eye charts I have hanging on my wall, Junie B? She asked, and she pointed at them. Eye charts are posters that help us test our eyesight, she explained. I have 2 different kinds, see? One has alphabet letters on it, and the one right next to it is filled with funny E's. That one is called an E chart. I looked at that funny thing. See, that's what she was looking at. It's been a long time since I've seen an E chart. My eye doctor uses rows of different letters that I have to look at. Whoa, I said, those are the craziest E's I ever saw. They are backwards and forwards and upside down. You're right, said Mrs. Weller. The E's are all mixed up, aren't they? And today you and I are going to play a game with those mixed up E's. It's called the E-Game. After that, Mrs. Weller got a little paper cup and she showed me how to hold it over one of my eyes. We're going to be testing each of your eyes separately, she said. While one eye is hiding under the cup, the other eye will be playing the game, okay? I shrugged my shoulders, because what choice did I have? Mrs. Weller showed me where to stand and to play the game. Then she went back to the E chart. All right, she said. Now each time I point to one of the E's, I want you to tell me the direction it's facing. Are you ready, Junie B? I shrugged again. And then I hid one eye behind the cup, and Mrs. Weller pointed at the first E. I pointed my finger up. That one is facing up at the ceiling, I told her. Good, she said. Excellent. I felt a little better inside. And then Mrs. Weller pointed to the next E. That's the one that's pointing up. What's that one pointing? Can you tell? Pointing down. Let's see what Junie B says. I turned my finger down at the floor. That one is facing down, I said. Mrs. Weller smiled and nodded. I stood up taller because this wasn't as hard as I thought. After that, the nurse kept on pointing at more E's, and I kept on telling her which way they were facing. Right, left, down, left, up. I stopped and grinned. Hey, what do you know? I'm a breeze at this game. Right, Mrs. Weller? Right, I said. Mrs. Weller winked at me. We're almost done, she said. Only a few more E's to go. She pointed to a new row. There was a fuzzy smudgy next to her finger. Whoops, I said. What happened there? Did someone spill something on your chart? Mrs. Weller did a little frown, and she kept pointing at the smudgy. Can you tell me anything about this mark at all, Junie B? She asked. Yes, I said, it's a smear ball. Mrs. Weller moved her finger over a little bit. What about this mark here? Can you tell me anything about this one? I stared and stared at that thing. That one's a toughie, I said. Finally, Mrs. Weller came over to me. That's fine, she said. You did just fine, Junie B. After that, we played the same game with my other eye. And guess what? I saw 3 more smudgies and a smeary. After I was done, I sat down in the chair again. Mrs. Weller said I need glasses. I do not like Mrs. Weller. I need glasses. I actually have 2 different kinds of glasses and contacts. I have contacts in my eyes. You know what contacts are? They're like little plastic things that you put in your eye. And I am 54 now, so I have what are called bifocal contacts. So that means the center part helps me see far away. Like how Junie B can't see far away. That's what I need too. But I shouldn't say I'm so old. I'm old enough now that it's hard for me to see things that are closer up. So the outside of the contact helps me, like when I look down or look down at my computer, I can see those letters more clearly. But because I wear contacts, and if I had worn glasses for a long time, sometimes it's tricky for me to read books like this one up close. And so I wear these. These are called reader glasses. So when I put these on, I can't see, it makes the far away seem blurry, but it makes the words on these pages much easier for me. So I don't have to squint and get a headache. Do you all wear glasses? Do any of you wear glasses? I think they're just great because you can pick cool frames, and the best part is they just help you see, and it's so wonderful to be able to see clearly. So I'll bet you in our next chapter of Junie B. Jones, she'll get to pick out her glasses and see how cool it is to see clearly. All right, until I see you next time, have a great day and enjoy whatever you do. Bye-bye.